Can't make head or tails of it. And we're live. There we go. We're complaining about housekeeping stuff.
Housekeeping.
So, yes.
Speaking of housekeeping, I am in a hotel room. I check out shortly. So that's why I hope my audio is okay. I didn't even ask that question.
You sound fine to me. So, but why are you in a hotel? Where are you, Karen?
I have spent the week in Salt Lake City at the Qualtrics X4 Summit. I have so much to say about it. I could talk for about a half an hour on this alone. So just so much. And Green Book readers, I'll be writing about it, right? There's one of the reasons why I'm out here is to interview some people. And I had some amazing interviews, some really good conversations. So I'll be writing about it in the coming week. And, on my LinkedIn, there's a few highlights of some of the keynote talks. But I mean, so much to unpack. Have you ever been to this, Lenny?
I have not. I've been invited a few times, and it's I don't travel much, so no, I have not.
Yeah. I mean, from a production standpoint, it is unbelievable. 10,000 people, and it is a show. It is a 2-day, extravaganza culminating in a concert, and it's from the production value alone, it's pretty incredible. But they also bring in keynotes that command a big price, I'm sure. So, this year we had Lindsey Vonn, Olympic athlete and amazing young woman. We had Dwayne Wade, which is like, iconic NBA Hall of Famer, former Olympian, all that stuff. We had Michelle Obama. We had a New York Times bestselling author. And then we had Mira Murati, who's the CTO of OpenAI, like amazing keynotes. And the keynotes are for each of the 2 days, 9 to 12, both days. Everybody is listening to the keynotes. And it was kind of amazing because I'm so used to industry events where we really focus on industry talks, but these keynotes were really higher level, talking about, just, personal journeys and overcoming adversity and, just grit and perseverance and leadership, just these overarching themes that are just, really inspiring, mitigating risk and being fearless and such good stuff, really good stuff. I can't say enough about it. So I don't know what all to unpack other than, what you already also read. Liam is here from Research Live. So he wrote already about the Murati talk. So I think we have that link to share about what's happening at OpenAI. So that was incredibly interesting. How that organization is viewing the road ahead in terms of mitigating risk and still developing the AI models that we're all using every day at this point, but how to make it so that it's safe and then moves on to solve world problems. I mean, really good stuff. See, I could go on and on. I should let you ask me questions.
Yes. Well, it sounds like maybe we have a whole other thing to do about just the Qualtrics. Maybe we schedule a podcast or something, just talk about that.
Seriously.
And I think it is important for the industry to understand, right? I remember the day that it was announced their valuation when they were first acquired, and everybody was like, "What?" I mean, amazing. As a leading technology platform that started very humbly as a survey platform, where they've gotten to, following what they do and what they talk about is important. So maybe get a little more into the weeds because they did make some product announcements.
Because it's a big deal for those of us who remember Qualtrics as, this survey company that became, they talked a lot about how, in 2017, they launched the new category of experience management, and they really owned that as a pat on the back feature of who they are. But this year they announced, and we heard it at a press briefing on Tuesday, and then they announced via a press release, they are refocusing on strategy and research as one of their core tenets this year. So yes, they're a research company that went in and started to own customer experience and employee experience and patient experience, and they're still doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But they are refocusing as one of their 3 focuses this year, alongside customer experience and employee experience, strategy and research. And they have built out, with the help of AI, a full a full offering of research features. They're launching a knowledge hub so that you can put, all of your knowledge management. You can just upload all of your data from other sources into it and then search it all within the Qualtrics ecosystem. So they're going to be competing with all the knowledge management platforms in our industry because they're adding that functionality to it. So not just your Qualtrics data, but any other data searchable in the Qualtrics platform. They're adding video feedback, moderated one-on-ones.
So finally putting the qual in Qualtrics.
They're putting the qual in Qualtrics, right? So they're not just a quant survey company anymore. Now they're like qual. And one of my interviews was with Jill Larson, and it was I flat out asked, like, will you have researchers on staff? Like, or is this all, kind of, AI assisted qual? And she goes, no, but all of our partners can, conduct their qual on our platform. So like, online qual integrated right in, and you just have to, if your end client has the Qualtrics platform, you can go right in there. So there would be no need to go to an outside online qual platform also in our ecosystem. So they're integrating that in with, of course, video analysis and highlight reel functionality and, really interesting stuff. But wait, there's more. They're building a panel. So
are they?
Yes, I'm telling you. I went up to her and I said, so is world domination next? And without missing a beat, she said, pretty much. So it's real and it's on. And their online panel, they are going to start with managing panel that their customers have. She used the example of Porsche. Porsche has an online panel of loyal users. They'll be managing that panel. And therefore, if they buy in, they can consolidate panels from their largest clients. So if Delta and American Express and Porsche and Hilton and Dish Network, if they buy into the consolidation of their proprietary panels for use in a larger ecosystem, now they're a panel company.
Yep.
So that press release is important to watch. Everybody in the research space needs to be paying attention to what they're doing because it's big news.
That is, in that model, there's other folks that have been, doing things like that. But the difference is Qualtrics has resources.
That's right.
Significant resources.
That's right.
Even as a private company.
Right.
Now they've committed to spending $500 million on AI last year.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that. So
we're seeing that AI, Qualtrics AI is almost synonymous with Qualtrics right now. It is across all of their, product pillars. Those three that I was telling you about, AI is built into all of it. They are 100% leaning in. They have tapped into, they said, I think it was like more than 100 language models. They're working with all of them for the right use cases in different areas like this. That investment is clear with what they're doing. There isn't an area of their business that doesn't have an AI assist.
That's
yeah, it's big. It's big.
It's interesting because I've been wondering for a long time. I mean, they've made some things around qualitative, and so I have to put the qual and in Qualtrics. Obviously, AI does that. There's been buzz for quite some time of them potentially making an acquisition on a panel.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting thing about Qualtrics. They are not very acquisitive. They have made some acquisitions here and there, but their default position has always seemed to be, we're just going to build it ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
what's interesting is they said they, when in conversation, and again, I'll summarize this interview that I had and I'll write about it because it was really quite poignant. They are not interested in hiring a staff of researchers. They really are interested in partnering. So,
but they do have a large staff of researchers. They've had a large staff of researchers. But
they're partnering with Kantar and Ipsos, for example. Like they're working with them. Mm-hmm. So again, their partners are the large, behemoths in the industry as it is. So it's just going to be really interesting for this, because again, this is the focus for the year. It'll be interesting for us to watch what they're doing this year and see. Yep. And when I point blank asked, why the pivot back to research after being so deliberate and mindful about building this experience management category, the short answer for the purpose of this call is like there's money on the table to be picked up over here in research. So why wouldn't they? It makes they're capable. They have expertise. This is their roots. Of course, they can get some share of wallet. Of course.
they had a presence at IX
Yeah.
this year,
Yeah.
and they're doing more of that. They hadn't for a very long time.
Yeah.
When they first launched, the very first IX Philadelphia, the Ryan was there. He spoke. They
Yeah.
the first couple years they were a sponsor,
Yeah.
and to your point, they pivoted away to focus
Yeah.
on this other area, made a buttload of money,
Yeah.
and now we're coming back. So yeah, that's follow the money, guys.
Follow the money. Super interesting. Yeah, super interesting. So yeah, so lots on that. I mean, you can just do any search for Qualtrics X4 and see some summaries that are popping out. I have, I've made a good friend here, kind of a CX influencer named Jeannie Walter. She was on our podcast once. She's posting a pretty good summary on LinkedIn. Day one, at least, was pretty thorough. Day two is coming soon. I think she's on a plane to Chicago today. But there are lots of summaries that people can look at for recaps of the event. And like I said, I'll be sharing too. Watch this one. And we, full disclosure, that we're pretty honest about the fact that we'll be talking to them too, to see, where else they're going. So we might have the inside scoop on some of this stuff as we see how we can, serve them back in the ecosystem that we operate in versus theirs. So
Yep, absolutely. Well, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Let's so related, Carly, let's jump to the Alchemer announcement, because there were a few announcements that are connected here conceptually. Alchemer was Survey Gizmo, DIY survey platform, always insisted we're always just going to be SaaS.
Yeah.
Well, they announced that nope, they are launching a full service capability, Alchemer Research Solutions, full team, which I just don't. For most of my career, I have just said pure SaaS doesn't work in this industry. Not if you want to grow. It's do it yourself, do it with you, do it for you. That is the model, tech plus service. And to your point around what Qualtrics is doing overall, whether via partnerships or directly. So here's another sign, right, of Alchemer, pretty significant competitor to Qualtrics. Overall, and now launching, that full service capability.
And Qualtrics, they were very clear, like, we're a tech company, like we are a tech platform, like that is who we are. And I just think that's, sorry, that was a squeak on the floor here, but I think these tech platforms, they are becoming more and more capable of doing more than they're currently doing with the increase in technology and capability. So it'll be interesting to see who else evolves their business.
It is. And one last thing we'll say about that. It is interesting. One thing that I always find interesting about Qualtrics, and have shared this with many other tech platforms in the industry, how they approach service was managed services, contracted services, not ad hoc. So it was embedded into the license models. So it created ARR. So annual recurring revenue. So from a valuation perspective, that changes the equation. So anybody out there from a tech standpoint, yes, we are in an ad hoc business in many ways. But look at those options to create managed services, contracted revenue. That's how you start reaching the scale of a Qualtrics,
right?
And the valuation to create those opportunities, to get money and do more things. So, okay, cool. We saw a couple other announcements this week. One little different, but I thought it was really interesting. Of Environics in Canada. Environics is a big player. Very diverse. They started as a research company, but they are now the LiveRamp partner in Canada. I think that's a pretty significant coup.
I don't know what LiveRamp is.
So LiveRamp is the dominant platform in media and advertising by identifying their technology allows for sorry, for programmatic effectively, and to identify folks so the advertising follows them around. So retargeting, for instance.
Yep, cool. Okay.
They have a massive database of DSPs, which is all the data that people match, and while keeping anonymity, they power most advertising that we see on the internet at some level.
Cool.
They're somewhere in that technology
All
stack.
right, cool.
So for a research company that also has an extensive consulting capability like Environics, now to become the only partner for LiveRamp in Canada, that's a big deal. It's about profiling and segmentation. It's about data. Go back to what Qualtrics, if they're going to build a panel, I guarantee you that within a year or two, so they will make some type of play in two things. One will be in AI training sets, and then secondly, and probably specifically to the AI training sets, will be on targeting, will be in ad tech. So we watch these companies that are positioning themselves already to integrate insights and marketing, insights and ad tech, driven by data. Right, especially if they're building these composite panels. It's all about data. It's all about owning the asset, which is consumer connection and information and then utilization. This is another example of that, of just putting the pieces together in new ways that look very different than how our industry has looked in the past.
Well, and let's segue from this into some data quality, because there's, when it comes to, again, a proprietary panel that a brand owns, there's a little more control over data quality, right? We're not just, scanning out there. So in the world of awareness that we have now about the need for data integrity and where we're at in that journey in the industry, leveraging those proprietary panels is something that you and I've talked about, like as another source, right? And
a significant finding in Grit, in the upcoming Grit, of that shift, that adoption of question about what are people doing about data quality. They are building proprietary data assets, whether we call it a panel or a community or whatever. That's a major source of pivoting here overall. Absolutely. And Melanie Courtright from the Inside Association had a great piece. Carla, if you want to put that in there, on it's just this data quality issue is becoming more and more critical. And let's jump around again, because there was a related piece, Carly, the Forrester article on data quality is a limiting factor in AI. So we've been talking about this for a year now. What is the opportunity for the insights industry? And that is to participate as a data feed for AI training sets, because that beast is hungry and huge, and it's becoming very fragmented. The world of just accessing data willy-nilly is done. Everybody recognizes an asset, they're monetizing it, moding it, blah, 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 blah. Right? Research has a huge opportunity to do that. And that Forrester piece, I think, was very significant in pointing out that, we have a real opportunity, because there is a gap, and it's getting bigger and bigger daily as AI is implemented, of having access to the right data to drive the decision making. So anybody who is doing that, whether it's you own your own panel or whatever or if you're a panel company or whatever the case may be, talk about money, leaving money at the table. And that is a massive opportunity if we can do it right and change how we think about it. Because the biggest barrier is our current model doesn't address permissioning. It doesn't address transparency for these purposes. And it's structurally, the data is just a damn mess. It doesn't, it's not the way that AI sets, LLMs look at data. So we've got some work to do, but if we do, we can address our quality issues and address new monetization opportunities across the board.
Interesting stuff. All right, what else did you find this week? There's a lot that I missed.
There was, well, you had other stuff going on.
I was a little busy. I'm not shaming myself, but
well, let's throw out two. There were two interesting articles about AI adoption, just to put out there, because that'd be a good segue. The folks at Kantar, particularly the team in Southeast Asia and India, had a great piece about AI and market research. Also, Steve Mayle at Logic Group, he actually launched a book of around being AI empowered in market research. So check it out. Obviously related. A lot of AI stuff.
Where's my horse?
I know.
I didn't
Where's your
my
horse? Where's your? But this was interesting, right? This week was interesting because there was a lot. First, there were a lot of conversations about Apple, which
Yep.
I'm not an Apple user, so maybe you could talk about this.
I am, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, the phone right here, which is always with me, I certainly have the ChatGPT app on my phone, and apparently this week found out like I could have Claude, a Claude app as well, which I've been using both of them on my laptop to try to figure out which one's doing a better job for me right now. And and that's what those of us who are experimenting are doing, are trying to figure out which one serves me well for the purposes that I have. So,
right.
so yeah, we're going to be able to, have that right on our phones.
Plus, they have their own that they're developing.
What was that? And their own, exactly.
OpenELN.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Which will be embedded into the operating system.
Correct.
So,
Yes.
rather than an app, I mean, it will just be
just there. So, wait, did we talk about this last week? We were like Siri on steroids, like this, like,
yeah.
I don't know who had said that, but that was in my, anyway, doesn't matter. But yeah, like this whole idea that our phones, which we carry with us anyway, we are going to be carrying AI. It's like, it's happening, people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool. And another announcement I think came out this week that ChatGPT now has a little more AI memory, so it can remember the preferences of paying customers. So if you pay the subscription, as some of us do for ChatGPT, and that each conversation, it's like starting from zero, and then you ask it. So you might need to give it context every single time. I can't tell you how often I put in there like my name, my role, my company, and here's what I'm working on. But if it starts to remember those things, it will streamline the things I ask of it even more efficiently.
And then we have an agent, right? And what does that look like when we have agents that are performing those tasks for us?
Yeah.
And which is going to be an interesting question for Qualtrics, for instance. What does customer experience look like when the customer is not you or me? It is our agent, and that's what this is a big step towards.
Yeah.
So,
well, and there were some great demos of that functionality live on stage, and the full integration suite of, customer says they're frustrated, and then their AI chatbot comes in and starts digging into what frustrated means and how they could help. And they're having a conversation about this real-time feedback, which then can integrate with, with a gift giving service. And the next thing you know, via WhatsApp, for example, they then share the link to this gift that this customer can buy. So really, the AI is acting in such a way that it's solving some customer service pain points for an individual who just said maybe they're frustrated. Like, they showed the ideal capability of how AI can be integrated into the customer experience journey and address real pain points, real time.
Right.
And take action. Their whole push was for making it all very actionable. Like, let's just not gather feedback. Let's actually do something about it.
Right.
Yeah. The AI is going to be assisting for sure.
Well, and customer, even when I first got my start in research, doing customer experience research, customer service research, it was such a novel concept when we pitched the company I worked for, of like, we should probably just put an alert in here that you've got a a bad rating, so you could do something about it. Oh, well, that's not research.
Yeah,
it's what makes sense. But I think that the interesting point, though, is that all that is great when you're talking to a human.
Right.
As we're moving into this, developing agents, making those decisions for us, purchasing for us, engaging for us, it's not a human anymore. It's our agent, our digital avatar, possibly acting on our behalf and is the satisfaction, we look at it the same way when we're not engaged personally in the transaction. Who knows, right?
Well, then that's one of the reasons why, full circle back to the strategy and research play. What was explained to me was the idea that we don't know what the right offering would be to somebody who has this particular pain point A. So we need to do some ad hoc research on what are the right offerings so that we can train it to offer the right offerings. All of it is connected. It is an incredible web of using both research and leveraging AI to, again, facilitate a stronger customer experience. So it's fascinating to see it all playing out. Lenny, I want to share one other thing on AI specifically, jumping back to Mira Murati and what she told us to expect is, we have 3.4 and then we have 4.0 in the ChatGPT models. We should expect the next one, she said, within months. So, like not even at one point she had said before the end of the year. And she kind of said actually within months. So
and
I don't know
be a
whether
step
that would be,
change. That was
what
the
was
language.
that?
She used the language of step change.
A step change.
Right. So a whole other.
Yeah, a whole other, like coming soon. And that I can't wait for, right? Like, will it be 5.0? Will it be probably, it won't be 4.5? Like, anyway, not that the semantics matter, just what it's capable of, but that just brings to mind all of the, here we go, right? It's happening fast.
We didn't include in the news this week, but there was, I saw a thing kind of floating around in the dense circles that apparently there was a new Chat GPT bot that was identified, right, in some of the kind of the deep web stuff, and everybody thought, and it was functioning as an agent, but it was not publicly released. It was just suddenly there, and people assumed, okay, here's kind of the live beta of whatever this next iteration is going to be, and it was functioning very independently. So anyway, whatever that's worth.
Look, I'm looking at the clock. We're already at 26 minutes, but I really want to talk about things that are coming down the pike because, Gritform is going to be here before you know it. And
it is.
I know there's other news to talk about, but I don't want to not talk about the three things coming down the pike.
That's okay. So let's just do this. The other news was all just interesting pieces around kind of a little bit of the reality around AI startups and challenges with hardware. We're not going to replace the phone anytime soon, but we are going to continue to see innovation. So maybe Carly dropped that into the chat. And let's talk about the cool
great
stuff.
forum. I mean, it feels like it's literally 2 weeks away now.
It is 2 weeks away. We will be unveiling the key elements of Grit. I'm telling you guys, you do not want to miss this. This is the most impactful Grit ever. I mean, and it is the only these data were collected in January, February. So this is the freshest data on where we are as an industry with all of these changes that there is, and we tapped into a whole other category of buyers, and their perspective is radically different. And we'll be presenting that and talking with all of our commentary providers during that. So yes, register for the Grit Forum, guys. Download this report. I'll even give you a hint. It's really big. Grit's always big. This one's really big. We are going to have a scaled down version, kind of a cliff notes. But it's because it's just so damn much. And there just is. There's just so much happening, and so many things that we need to communicate. And we'll have different versions of it for different audiences. But
and at North America, we presented the executive summary. And we'll be doing that again in Europe. So that executive summary does what an executive summary should do, which is, distill some of the bigger picture into bite-sizable chunks.
Yes.
So that'll also be happening in Europe. So Carly, if you want to jump ahead to Europe, because that's kind of, and then we're going to end with Lenny's thing. So IAX Europe, again, we are in full registration push for it, June 25th, 26th. There's a code here. Last time I got this a little bit wrong. We're doing Exchange 30 this time. Makes me laugh. Anyway, Exchange 30 will get you 30% off to the ticket price. It's going to be a great event. I'm really looking forward to it. And we will be sharing some great data there as well.
Yes. And it's approaching sellout already. So if you haven't registered, then you need to jump on. And if you're thinking about exhibiting out of maybe there's one or two things
I
left.
don't even know. So, maybe from an exhibiting standpoint.
From an exhibiting standpoint, yeah.
Those are.
Yeah, jump on.
I know. And it's interesting. Can I just say it's May 3rd and this is the end of June, but people are way ahead of this one, which I find fascinating.
It is, because usually that's more of a last minute event.
Yeah.
And we're not seeing that. People are
Yeah.
anxious and
No,
excited.
people are anxious. So super psyched about that. But in between now, or in between the Grit Forum and that, you have this keynote that you're also involved in on June 5th and 6th. So tell us all about what you're doing.
So Alita, right? Our good friends Alita used to be Vision Critical. They reached out and asked if when they reached out, they just asked if I'd present. I didn't know it was going to be a damn keynote. But yes, it is going to be a keynote fireside chat with their team, with my usual stick, right? Talking about the future.
And I'm not going to be there to keep you in line. I know.
Well, I've warned them what they have in store. So I've tried to prepare them. But yes, that's I'm honored to do that. It is a virtual event. It's their event. So but yes, so we'll be doing that rather than being an interviewer or whatever. We'll be the interviewee and talking about the future and all the cool stuff that we talk about in a hopefully far more condensed version than I usually do.
Well, you'll have to say, I'll be listening in and expecting, a shout out at one point, like Karen would make me move on at this point.
Maybe we need to have a system. Remember how my phone on me and you can just like Slack me, Lenny,
it's time. It's time.
Yep.
No, I think it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to that too.
Yep. So please register for that. If you have, not just for me, there's other great speakers and other great presentations. Alita's competitor to Qualtrics. They're, obviously is we watch the tech companies, follow the money, look where they're going. They're going to be driving this innovation from a technical standpoint, while the rest of the industry then looks at how we adapt it from a service standpoint. So they are the leading indicators across the board. Pay attention, attend these type of events. Yeah.
Good stuff. And we're over time here. So I think it's time to wish everybody a happy weekend. Maybe a good Derby day if you're watching the race tomorrow, because tomorrow's Kentucky Derby.
Oh, is it? And I live in Kentucky and
you live down Lenny.
I know I'm definitely not going to Louisville tomorrow. I'll tell you that much now. So
funny. I'm assuming that you're going to be drinking mint juleps or in some form, even if it's a mocktail.
No, tomorrow is a greenhouse day. My wife has already given me a long honeydew list of working in the greenhouse. So that's what I'll be doing tomorrow. Anyway, you have safe travels back home.
Thank you. Looking forward to getting there.
Everybody, our listeners, appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next week.
See you have a good week. And again, until next Friday. Bye.
Yep. Bye, everybody.